I think we're live.
Yeah, we are. I like to wait till I see the. I like to wait till I see the seconds ticking.
It was like a 10 seconds. And I was like, wonder when we're starting.
Well, I feel like sometimes it starts like right in the middle of my. It goes Knee Dog's Vault here. So anyway, I'm from Omni Dog's Vault, and this is Taylor Brown, my co-host for Baturdays in the Batcave. Hi, guys.
And I was just telling Jesse, say what? You were a little bit too late to the game today. 10 minutes late.
Jesse, somebody else was
Christian.
Jesse Christian. Yeah, so we've got we may have time for question and answer if you guys are interested in that later. We had just 2 books to read. Actually, it's a 2-parter. Doomsday Clock is 2 books. And Martian Manhunter by Steve Orlando and Riley Rossmo.
Yes. And before we get to that, I was about to file away my haul from this past month and said to Jess, would you mind if I show off what I got? That way it doesn't feel like a total waste. That way other people can see it too. So I can show it off real quick as well before we do our review.
I love to see hauls. Let's see your haul, dude.
All right, so it's nowhere near Jess's stimulus check haul.
So, I knew you were going to say that.
We won't be here for 45 minutes, so don't worry about that. Even though that was one of your most popular videos recently, so obviously everyone wanted to watch that.
Yeah, you were right.
People love to watch hauls. All right, so Jess and I in 2 weeks, actually to give you a preview of 2 weeks from now on Batteries in the Batcave, we're having Wonder Maddie on from Near Mint Condition and Fangirls Assemble to do a Wonder Woman spotlight. And we're going to talk about where newcomers to Wonder Woman should start and also talk about some of our favorite runs on the character. I'm pretty sure that Wonder Woman's Maddie's favorite character, right? Or at least she has a lot of Wonder Woman stuff from what I've heard.
I think Donna Troy is her favorite character, but I know she does like Wonder Woman, but she's read a lot of Wonder Woman to get a lot of Donna Troy. She loves Donna Troy. I know that.
Well, Donna Troy is very close to Wonder Woman. So, I mean, if your favorite character is Robin, you probably like Batman a lot too.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe it. So I've started picking up a lot of Wonder Woman stuff. I have Greg Rucka's first Wonder Woman run on the way. So that's coming. And I just got these. I got these at half-price books. I got all the Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello trades.
Ooh, nice.
I decided to forego the Omni because I don't love huge Omnis. There's also 72.50. I got these for less than $50. So I thought it was definitely worth it. And the Absolutes look gorgeous. They're just too much money for – it's $150 to get both Absolutes, which is a decent amount of money to shell out for that whole run.
That's a lot.
So I got Volume 1, Blood – Volume 2, Guts. I love the names for these. They're all one word. Iron, Volume 3. War, Volume 4. Volume 5, Flesh. And then Volume 6 is Bones. And I read the first 2 volumes. I'm surprised that pretty much the whole run seems like one long story. Have you read it before, Jess?
Yeah, I read it back when it was coming out, but I'm going to have to reread it for this show. I remember really liking it. Yeah, it is one long story.
And that's very unusual for most runs. I can't remember a run that I've read recently from the Big Two where the whole entire run just one long story.
Yeah.
I guess maybe Tom King's to a certain degree, but his is broken up with a lot of miniature arcs. Whereas I feel like this one's one continuous story, which really surprised me.
Right.
And I got this from my local comic book store. I got Sentient by Jeff Lemire. I love this book.
That is a great book.
This is probably my favorite TKO book so far. This and Sarah. I really like Sarah by Garth Ennis. And you'll be happy to hear I listened to a Garth Ennis interview recently. He's doing another TKO book. I think it's going to be a war-centric book as well. But if you're only going to get 2 books from TKO, get Sentient and Sarah. That's for sure. I love this. I mean, let's look at this Gabriel Walta artwork. He is fantastic.
Let me highlight you. There we go.
From The Vision, he did some work on Doctor Strange as well with Donny Cates. He is a fantastic artist. And this is a great sci-fi story. It's like Alien without any aliens, basically. I really love this story. It's about a AI on a ship that needs to take care of children after all the adults on board are killed. So that was great. And so Jess got in his Superman Batman omnibus. And so he kindly sent me these trades for shipping. And I'm pretty sure there's one more volume, right, Jess, that you didn't have?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
Those are the only 3 I ever read.
Because they don't really give you any numbers to tell you what issues are in them on the back, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
So I have Superman, Batman by Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness, Volume 1, Public Enemies. I have Superman, Batman, Supergirl. I think this is your favorite part, right?
I loved Michael Turner's art, and I loved Supergirl in that.
And then this Volume 3, Absolute Power. And yeah, someone asked me not the omnibus. I'm not a huge fan of really big, massive omnibuses, and Superman, Batman definitely fits that bill. That's a massive omni. I remember seeing the omnibus, the side of it that you showed off, and it was like this big. It's massive.
Yeah.
And I really love this book, Supergirl Being Super.
Oh, yeah.
From Mariko Tamaki and
great book.
Joelle Jones. This is my first and only Supergirl book I've ever read. I think it's a great place to start. I know, Jess, you're more of a Supergirl fan than I am. Would you say this is the best place to start?
Oh, you could start with that easy. It's sort of an Elseworlds type thing. It's a different take on her. But yeah, you could read that right out of the block. Just it's an easy one to start with.
And you can never go wrong with Joelle Jones' artwork. She's fantastic. This is a great origin story for Supergirl, and I'm speaking as someone who's never read anything else by Supergirl, so I really, really enjoyed it. That was great. I got these 2 books from Hamilton Books. Actually, no, I got these 2 books from Hamilton Books, Road to Rebirth, Final Days of Superman, and Supergirl Being Super. If you have not heard of Hamilton Books, go check out their stock. They have some great books for super cheap, and their packaging is awesome. Wouldn't you agree, Jess?
Yep.
So I got... So Jess and I are going to be doing a Superman Rebirth readathon, I think, in early September. So I made sure to get these 2 books to be able to understand exactly how Superman is the way that he is in the Rebirth line. Because I think Superman's probably the hardest character to wrap your mind around in the Rebirth era. Wouldn't you agree? He has most baggage.
Yeah. Well, yeah, considering what happens to him at the end of New 52, yeah.
Right.
He's getting a complete reboot, reset, everything. So,
because I think everything else you can jump in fairly clean. Where Superman, I don't think you really can, because there's like there's another Clark Kent around. You find out what happened to the New 52 Superman. So Jess and I are going to read The Final Days of Superman by Peter J. Tomasi, and then I believe you read Lois and Clark by Dan Jurgens, with art by Lee Weeks and others. And you really loved this book, didn't you?
I do. I think it's Dan Jurgens' best book ever.
Wow. Okay. So we're going to be reading these 2 books, as well as the Superman by Tomasi and the Action Comics by Dan Jurgens. So we'll be reading all of that run. So if you guys also want to read along with us, I'm pretty sure we're going to do it September 5th. So if you have those volumes that haven't read it yet, it might be a good time for you to get that off your shelf and read all of them. And my 2 favorite Marvel runs right now is first Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. I love this series. This is the best Hulk book I've ever read, in my opinion. I think it's even better than Planet Hulk and War Ward Hulk. I really love this story. It's a horror-centric book. I'm not really the biggest fan of the Hulk, but I really love Al Ewing's take on the Hulk. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be ending around issue 50. And this second volume collects 11 through 20. So I'm guessing probably 2 or 3 more hardcovers after this. And I'll be really happy to have all those on my shelf. My other favorite Marvel run right now is Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky. And I don't think Jess has read this yet.
I haven't.
I think the plan is we're going to keep having Nerd in the Note, Chris. How did I forget his name all of a sudden?
Burnham?
Yeah. We're going to have him back on. Probably do a Wade episode, and we'll probably do a Soul and Zdarsky episode at some point. So I'm really excited to continue with this. Volume 3 looks awesome, but I haven't read it yet. I've read the first 2 volumes. And I can already say I think this is a classic in the making. I think if he's able to stick the landing and keep up the quality, this will go down as one of the best runs of Daredevil, which is saying a lot. And I think Mark Cicchetto does a fantastic job with the art on this book. Jorge Fornes, who also did some stuff with Tom King on Batman, he also did a great job as well. I think this is going to be a fantastic run. And Marvel needs to have oversized hardcovers of this. And so Jess and I have bought this in trade, so we're making the ultimate sacrifice.
That's right.
To make sure that we get these. So
now, what's supposed to happen with Shadowland? Am I supposed to read just the main story of Shadowland and then go on to Wade?
I did not read it at all. I didn't feel like I missed anything.
Oh, you just went right to Wade?
I just kept hearing that Shadowland really wasn't that big of a thing to read. And I mean, then Tim told us not to read it either if we didn't want to. So
I own it,
really know. You can read it if you want to. I mean, it's totally up to you.
Yeah.
It sounded like he said the main event is really good, but the tie-in issues aren't exactly the best, from what he said.
Okay.
So you can do whatever you want. It's your life. So do whatever you want to do. I can read,
man.
And so this Friday, actually, Jess and I are going to be doing another Crime Corner episode with special guest ETL, aka Chat Omnidog. And one of the series that we're going to be reviewing is Analog by Jerry Dugan. And so this, I read the first volume. Its plot is a lot like Private Eye, but it goes in a different direction, I would say. Because it's all about everyone's secrets being exposed. The cloud is burst, and you really can't keep secrets anymore. So there are these guys who carry metal briefcases, and they take it from one person to the other to guard people's secrets. And there are people who obviously want the secrets that are contained in these briefcases. And it's about one guy in particular who had a lot to do with the cloud being burst and all the information being disseminated all over the world. So it's a lot like Private Eye, but different in some key ways. So we're reviewing that, as well as Bog Bodies and The Fix this Friday. So please join in and watch that on Friday. I got a book on Jess's recommendation, and that is Britannia. Jess said this is a great occult detective book, so I'm really excited to read this.
I really hope you like it.
Well, I think it'll be good. I haven't heard any bad things about it. People seem to really like it.
I loved it. I thought it was remarkably interesting.
I'm very interested in the Roman era, back in the early 60s AD. So I think this will be really interesting and right up my alley.
Yeah, well then it will be up your alley, and it's really well written.
And I've heard that it's like the most accessible Valiant book. It has nothing to do with any other Valiant book.
Yeah, that and Dr. Mirage are two books you can read without knowing anything about Valiant.
Because I don't have any Valiant books. Never really read Valiant, but I've heard that this book is pretty much like has nothing to do with their main universe. It's just like Valiant just publishing a book they thought was really good.
Yeah,
basically. So I'm excited to read that. We already reviewed this. Jess and I have talked about this a lot, and that's Joelle Jones, Lady Killer. This is one of my books of the year, and everyone has to buy it. I have spoken. And then I showed this off on Crime Corner. I got the Parker Martini edition, which I read last week. Everyone needs to get this book. This book is phenomenal. And I'm really excited for Volume 2 coming out later this October, or I think it might be December. So Jess and I can do a whole episode on Crime Corner about Parker.
That'll be great.
So that's my haul for the month.
It's an impressive haul. A lot of good stuff.
Thank you. I'm really excited about it. A lot of those books are really good that I've already read, and some of the books I haven't read, but I'm sure they're good as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to highlight, we have a viewer from Korea.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, where'd that go? Looks
like I influenced Joe Goose. Okay, time to make some more purchases.
Here it is, Trent S. Finally made it to a live show. Hello from Korea. You guys are great. Thanks, Trent. I think you might be our first viewer from Korea. We've gotten a lot of places to chime in, but I don't think we've had any Korean viewers.
I wonder what time it is in Korea right now. I wonder how far ahead they are.
I don't know. Maybe it's morning or something.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. And Maxime is asking us, I haven't watched anything from Comic-Con right now. I know they're having like virtual Comic-Con right now. Jess, how are you feeling about the Justice League Snyder Cut? Do you have any feelings about it?
I'd like to know a little bit more about it. Is it like 5 or 6 hours long or something?
I think it's supposed to be like 3 hours or so.
Okay, I'll watch it again because I'm one of those people that didn't hate Justice League. I will happily. It's 8:15 in the morning in Seoul, Sunday.
Oh wow.
Here's somebody from Portugal. Thank you, Portugal.
There's someone from Scotland as well. Awesome.
Oh.
And they're saying it's like 12:15 right now.
It's only 15 in the day. It's 15 o'clock.
We have quite the United Nations represented here today.
That's odd.
Maybe having it at 7 o'clock allows some of our international viewers to join us.
Maybe. I liked Justice League. I mean, I am aware of its faults and stuff, but it kept me entertained and interested. And I happen to be somebody that liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I liked all the characters. So if he has a vision that is 3 or 4 hours long, I don't care. Yeah, I'll watch it. Sure, if it's his vision, if it's what he wanted to put together, fine, and I'll watch it. I'm not going to prejudge it. I hate prejudging stuff. I'll just watch it, and then if I like it, fine, and if not, well, it's the way it goes.
Yeah, I'm not super excited, and I'm not trying to prejudge it, but I'm just not a huge fan of Zack Snyder's take on the DC universe. And so I kind of have a track record to go back on, and how I'm not that excited. I think Man of Steel was his best outing. Batman v Superman was not his best outing.
No.
And I think Justice League might be my least favorite DC movie ever, because it was I understand it may not be as bad as Suicide Squad, but when you have the Justice League on screen for the first time, it should be a knock out of the park home run. It should be a grand slam, like the Avengers was, and it wasn't that at all, in my opinion. And I just really didn't think it was that. There was nothing groundbreaking. There's nothing interesting about it. I just thought I don't know. It was just kind of there for me, and so it really disappointed me. But I'm willing to give it a chance and watch it for free on HBO Max. I found out today they actually have HBO Max for free, so that works out well for me.
How'd you get that?
It turns out through my parents' Xfinity account, they can have HBO Max. I'm able to mooch off of them.
Oh, man.
So I just downloaded it to my phone, and I can – apparently all the DC Universe shows are moving to HBO Max.
Right.
Doom Patrol's already there, so I'm going to start watching that this upcoming week. And hopefully Harley Quinn's second season will move there soon.
Oh, my favorite show.
And Sam Cluxton is checking in from the International Space Station.
That I believe.
I wish that was true.
That would be awesome.
That would be really cool.
Oh, Fatalized Guitar says Justice League has Martian Manhunter in as well, too, fitting the topic today. You know what that movie needed? Besides Darkseid, it needed a Green Lantern. That's what would have really made it for me. But Martian Manhunter, I will watch that for Martian Manhunter.
The funny thing about Justice League is that after all the extensive reshoots, it became one of the most expensive movies of all time. But it looks so cheaply made. All the special effects compared to like Avengers Endgame, it looks so cheap. Like Thanos actually looked like a real person. Steppenwolf did not.
No.
You're spending that kind of money. You're putting that much money on the table. The special effects should be like the best you can possibly reach, and it was not. And so when a movie that costs $300 million has bad special effects, that just really turns me off. It's not like you had like a $10 million budget and you couldn't do much.
Yeah,
it's frustrating. And apparently, a lot of people on set hated Joss Whedon based off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has a lot of people saying he was abusive on set. The guy who played Cyborg and some other people as well. I think Joss Whedon has a lot of things going against him right now. I think women saying he treated them inappropriately. So I think he's, I don't know. I think he has a big social media storm coming his way.
Dylan Byrne, no, that's on my list to watch The Boys. I need to, that's on my immediate list. I mean, within this year, I want to see it. I got to finish Legion. Then I got to watch Picard. Then I have to, before that, I want to see Old Guard, the movie. Taylor will kill me if I don't watch at least a little bit of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
And you're currently watching Batman the Animated Series, too.
Oh, yeah, I gotta do that. That I can do a little bit of that at a time.
We just ordered all those LPs yesterday, so you have to.
Yeah.
Order those albums yesterday from Mondo.
I had the first set, too.
And I will say that my two favorite shows last year were Watchmen and The Boys. So it's definitely well worth your time. And I'm saying that as someone who wasn't a fan of the comics. The comics were a little bit too over the top for me, a little bit too much. I think the show was able to find the perfect balance.
That's great. I'm excited to see it.
I was telling Jess the other day, the funny thing is that my two least favorite Garth Ennis comics are his most popular ones, The Boys and Preacher. Because they're both I feel guilty reading them. They just they don't You ever read a book where after you're done, you're like, oh man, I feel like I need to take a shower or something after reading that. That's kind of how I feel. Like, I don't know. I know some people love it. That's perfectly fine. I love pretty much everything else he's done, though.
And here's another show that I started and I haven't finished, Umbrella Academy. I really liked it, so I need to finish it too.
I'm in the minority. I didn't really enjoy that show. I couldn't even finish the first season. I thought it was kind of all over the place.
I haven't watched enough to make a judgment, except I watched like the first 3 episodes and I enjoyed them enough that I want to keep going.
Yeah, a lot of people are affirming that Old Guard was great. I also did really enjoy it. That would probably be the easiest thing for you to watch, just because it's not that big of a time commitment. It's only a 2-hour time commitment.
For what?
Old Guard. It's
oh yeah, no, I gotta see that. I can't wait. Here's a nice compliment. I've been sick all day and lying in bed, and seeing this in my subscriptions really cheered me up. Yes. I have a question for all the viewers. Did anybody get the notification that I put out that the show was at a different time? Because you can put a note up in YouTube, and it's supposed to go out to all your subscribers, the notice. Did anyone get that notice that said...
I don't think it shows up as a notification. I think it just shows up in your feed.
In your feed?
In your subscription feed. Because I didn't get a notification about it. I don't know if you're supposed to. I just saw it, like, I looked up subscriptions, and it was, like, on there with, like, recent videos and stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I think, yeah, so Iku says he saw it in his feed. So someone at least saw it.
In the feed, okay.
Yeah, so I don't think it went out as a notification.
Oh, okay.
Elvis has given us a compliment.
Thanks, Elvis.
We're great. We have so many people from all over the world right now. This is great.
Yeah, really international. I'm digging it. I know Iku's from the Netherlands.
Joe Goose saw our Facebook post. Well, that's good at least.
Oh, good. Joe, are you a subscriber? Whoop. Are you a subscriber? You should get a notification. You need to subscribe to this show so you get notifications.
I think he may be saying he didn't get a notification about the message from earlier because it wasn't meant as a notification.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
Well, everyone who's here is here, so I'm glad they at least found their way to this live show somehow.
Oh, yeah, I got to watch Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing, too.
I'm pretty sure Swamp Thing is moving to CW, so at least
I bought the disc of it.
Oh, you did?
$10 from Best Buy.
Okay. That's not bad at all.
No, I got both Doom Patrol Season 1 and Swamp Thing for $10 each for the Blu-ray.
I was so hesitant to watch Swamp Thing. I heard it was fantastic, but it got canceled after Season 1, so I was like, what's the point of watching it if it's not going to be continued? But it sounds like it's going to have a life on CW, so maybe I should watch it.
I don't know that they're restarting it. I know that they're showing it, but I'm not sure they're restarting it.
Can anyone in the chat kind of give us some details on what Swamp Thing's going to be on CW, if they're re-showing it, or is it a continuation, a second season, or is it a total reboot? I'm not 100% sure. That'd be really helpful to know.
Yeah.
Jake Ashcroft, I think Garth Ennis' Punisher Max run is my favorite comic run I've ever read. I love Garth Ennis' run, but I still think my favorite Punisher run is by Jason Aaron.
I agree with that.
I love both of them, but I just really love those 20 issues, I think it was, or 22 issues. I can't remember. That's fantastic. But it's definitely a close second for me.
Taylor and Jess, what's your least favorite show and movie from DC and Marvel?
You want me to go first? You want to go first, Jess?
Sure. Let me TV show.
Hard to pick just one for movies. I feel like TV show. I think one of my least favorite Marvel TV shows was Iron Fist. That was really hard to watch.
That was I think that would be my answer too.
I really loved the first 7 episodes of Luke Cage season 1, and then it kind of fell off a cliff for me after a certain character died halfway through, and I couldn't even finish the second season. It was really painful for me.
TV show, my least favorite DC and Marvel TV show. I agreed with you on Iron Fist.
Someone says the worst show from Marvel is Inhumans. I avoided that like the plague, so I can't speak to it. It's probably the worst. Geo even hates it. So if
Yeah.
Geo hates it, and he's a human's nut, so if he hates it, it's probably horrible.
Yeah. Let's see. My least favorite movie from DC and Marvel. I am trying to think back to all the various things. I probably Batman versus Superman. Even my daughter said, "What is going on in this movie?" Like halfway through it, and I said, "I don't know really." And I'm sad to say that because they're my two favorite characters. My least.
What is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? Is that Vertigo or what? Do you know what publisher that is? Someone says League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is supposed to be pretty bad. That I can vouch that's a very bad movie.
Oh, I remember seeing that movie.
It was so bad that Sean Connery's like, I'm just done. I'm done acting. I think he was just like, I'm leaving. Yeah, that was his last movie, was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, it was?
What a horrible way to end your career.
I didn't hate that movie.
I like I said earlier, my least favorite DC movie is probably Justice League, and I'm admitting that Suicide Squad is probably worse, but I just was so disappointed by it because it should have been great, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's probably my least favorite one.
But Suicide Squad had Harley Quinn in it, so that pleased me.
I liked Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, or whatever that long first title was.
Yes.
Jess, did you ever watch the original Swamp Thing movie from back in the 80s?
Was that the one with Heather Locklear or Adrienne Barbeau?
I never saw it. Someone's asking about it.
Oh, I think I watched the first one with Adrienne Barbeau, and that's back when she was smoking hot. And that was worthwhile. That was a worthwhile watch because I was younger and there was nothing on this, worth watching. I remember actually liking it. I didn't hear good things about the second one with Heather Locklear, so I never saw it.
IQ says Swamp Thing on CW is only a rebroadcast. That's disappointing. Oh well. Someone says Suicide Squad was really bad. I couldn't believe how bad that movie was based on how good the trailers were. I thought the trailers for Suicide Squad were so good, and the movie was horrible. I really did not like that movie. Did you like it, Jess, or just for Harley Quinn?
Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did. I could follow it, and I don't know. It made sort of a goofy sense to me, so it didn't bother me like it bothered other people. I guess I can see why it bothered other people, but it was fine to me.
A much better version of that movie is in the DC animated universe. Do you ever watch Batman Assault on Arkham?
No.
It has the Suicide Squad. Harley Quinn plays a big part of it, and the Joker's the main villain of it. And it's much better. I really didn't like the Enchantress being the main villain. I thought that was a really lame villain. It looked like she was hula hooping the whole time while she was moving around. It was like so weird. I didn't like the villain at all. And I wasn't a huge fan of Leto's Joker. I mean, it's hard to judge it. He was only in the movie for 9 minutes.
Oh, that's right. God, he was awful.
It's hard to judge it because, like I said, he's only in the movie for 10 minutes. But it was just, I didn't enjoy what I saw.
No.
Compared to Heath Ledger.
No, yeah, I forgot about him. Actually, I was thinking about every character but him.
Yeah, the Suicide Squad was just a long music video. That's very true.
That vinyl album is awesome from Suicide Squad. That thing rocks.
It wasn't that the music was bad. It was just like they kept like jamming it in there at every point they could. It was like a music video, like that person just said.
Yeah.
IQ, I agree. The beam in the sky thing sucked. I'm ready for that trope of superhero movies to be done. Just the giant beam in the sky shooting things and trash flowing all over the place. I'm kind of done with that superhero movie trope.
Yeah, I am too.
Tiago's giving you a compliment, Jess, about Invincible.
Oh, good. Thank you. I loved the first 3 books, and I think in the fall, the Omnibros are going to do a read-through of everything. I really loved the first 3 books of it. So I'm ready to do read the whole thing.
And Robert Kirkman, I'm looking at you right now. We just talked about a good book that we actually like, so do not dislike this video like you always do.
Yeah, I always get one dislike, and it's always Robert Kirkman.
Trent S has a good observation. Forcing someone to watch Inhumans may be very well replaced waterboarding as an info extraction technique. No, I'll talk. Yeah, that didn't look very good at all. That should have been a movie. For sure. Yeah, someone agrees with me. Assault on Arkham and Hell to Pay. That's another Suicide Squad movie. Are both better than the actual Suicide Squad movie.
Those are animated movies?
Yes. I can't speak for Hell to Pay, but I loved Assault on Arkham. That was really good. If digital codes didn't expire, I would send you the digital code for that. It's so annoying that they do that. Why do they expire? What's the purpose behind that?
Yeah, I don't know. Are you ready to review a book?
Yeah, IQ was laughing at us earlier saying, I love how...
You just broke up. Let me see what IQ's saying. Okay. Oh, we lost him. IQ, what are you making fun of? I love how Q&A later turned into Let's Start with Q&A. Yeah, well, that's kind of true. It did. We're just getting warmed up. Yeah, I think the Suicide Squad reboot will be much better with James Gunn directing.
Hey.
I did see what IQ had to say, and that's funny. Yeah, we took Q&A first. But we can do Q&A afterwards, too. Are you freezing again? Where are you? With Gio in Puerto Rico? What's going on here? Well, we're going to talk about Martian Manhunter first, because I'm making that decision because Taylor's not here. This is about... this is pretty complex. It's got 12 issues in it. It was a 12-issue miniseries. The first thing to notice about this book is if you are a Riley Rossmo fan or not, because you're getting 12 issues of Riley Rossmo art, and I didn't really know how divisive Riley Rossmo was. I just looked at his art and said, okay, it's art, but a lot of people don't like it. I do like it, so I didn't have a problem, and I thought he drew the Martian Manhunter really well in this book. And it's about, wait, I'll show pictures and read the back like I always do. Back on Mars, John Johns was about as corrupt a law officer can be. When a reckoning comes for his entire society, he'll get a second chance on Earth he doesn't want or deserve. One shocking murder and an unexpected fragment of the Mars he lost will change his life and the course of the Earth forever. Witness John's unforgettable journey as we begin a new chapter. No matter what you know about John Johns, you're not prepared for this. What the? Did he disappear again? What is going on? So John Johns, they show a lot of John's life on Mars before he gets pulled through to the Earth. Dude, are you okay? You may need to reboot your computer or something.
I guess. I'll come back. Just keep talking.
I can see you now. You're okay now.
Are you sure? Okay, this is really annoying. I don't know what's going on.
Thank you, Jesse Christian, for liking my figures. I appreciate that. So they give a good, solid chunk of his life on Mars, which is interesting. And then they show his life on Earth when he gets pulled away. And it, let's see, I don't want to give too much away. He has a wife and daughter. He assumes the identity of another police officer when he comes to Earth. The police officer gets killed and he assumes the identity of him. And there is a his partner has this wild hair, this wild white big updo, and they're trying to find a missing girl. And yeah, Taylor got pulled away to Mars. So let's see what happens here.
This is the worst it's ever been, for sure. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. This is the worst it's ever been.
So it shows him in his day-to-day life as John Johns or John Jones, however you want to say it. However, he tried to assimilate into American life. The main adversary in this is a very old Martian evil guy that's huge and deadly, and ends up being responsible for stealing what the hell? For stealing away the girl, and he tries and succeeds in turning her into a Martian. Paul Baker, how's it going? We haven't got to Doomsday Clock. We did the first half hour on Q&A, and now Taylor's internet is blowing up. He can't do it right. It's not cooperating, and he just had it fixed. He may need to restart his computer, which I will suggest to him next time. So my verdict on this book is I found it very interesting. I thought this was a really good balance of what his life was like on Mars, what it was like when he assimilated onto the Earth. I thought his Earth adventures were compelling and interesting. I felt like he had a realistic and interesting relationship with his co-detective. Next time this happens, you may want to restart your computer. Let me text him that. Okay, just a sec. I'm going to text Taylor. And computer. Okay, oversized. No, I don't think it's really oversized. Let's see. This is an oversized book. So no, it's a standard size trade paperback. It's regular. I think the storytelling is really good in this. I really enjoyed it. I think it comes down to whether or not you are okay with Riley Rossmo's art, which some people are and some people aren't. The story is very good, taking you to unexpected places, especially on Mars. He does a really good job of what Martian life is like, and the catastrophe. He gets taken from Mars by the scientist right as this catastrophe is happening that turns Mars into flames and basically destroys the planet, makes it the red planet now. And he is I lost my train of thought. Whatever. I like the book a lot, and I don't know what Taylor's thoughts are, but he'll be on here in a second. So I told him to reset his modem and router, so we'll see what happens. Do you have? I can answer questions. We can do Q&A right now. Let's see.
Hey, we'll see what.
Did you restart your router?
No, I will. I restarted my computer. We'll see if that helps at all.
I think next time you should restart your router.
It's so annoying. We got a totally new box in our like a totally new like system set up in our basement. You know, because it wasn't working. So I don't know what's going on. So sorry to annoy everybody with this.
Well, we can see you. Okay, now we can see you.
Okay.
I just got done giving my opinion on Martian Manhunter.
And so I think you liked it a lot more than I did. I did like it. I think Riley Rossmo's art hampered it for me. I'm just not a fan of his art. And like you said earlier, it's not everyone's cup of tea. so I'm really not a huge fan of that. I thought the story was pretty good. I just didn't think it was groundbreaking compared to something like a 12-issue series like The Vision or Mr. Miracle. I just don't think it was as good as those books, and I think it could have been if it had better art and just a little more of an original story. I liked all the different Mars stuff. I thought the stuff on Earth was kind of boring, and I really never understood his partner's hair style. Did you show up?
Weird.
That doesn't make sense. It's so weird. It just never made sense to me at all. I just thought the stuff on Earth with the cop storyline was kind of just mediocre, whereas the Mars stuff was really interesting, and I wish it had been more of that.
Okay.
That was my opinion.
Okay.
And I do not have my own channel, but thank you for asking. Jess won't let me. No, I'm just joking.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I need to upgrade my Wi-Fi, I guess. Yeah.
Well, while we have you, we should probably talk, before we lose you again, we should probably talk about Doomsday Clock, parts 1 and 2, 5 years in the making, or however long it took.
Like 3 or 4 years, something like that. It was definitely a long time.
And I was worried going into this. My worry was that this was the rebirth world Dr. Manhattan created, and that's what they were going to explore in this. Now, Dr. Manhattan may have created the rebirth world. I don't know. But in a nutshell, Ozymandias, new and unimproved Rorschach, and Marionette and Mime.
They were two really interesting new characters that I really enjoyed. Marionette.
Yeah. They accompany Ozymandias in the Owl ship in search of
Rorschach too.
What's that?
There's a new Rorschach as well, who's wearing the costume.
Yeah, I said he was a new and unimproved Rorschach.
Oh, okay. Unimproved.
Yeah. So they're looking for Dr. Manhattan, and they feel like he's on Superman and Batman's Earth, as opposed to this parallel Earth where Ozymandias's gambit that killing everybody with giant squid would help unite humanity, and it did for about 2 seconds, and then they went back and things got worse. So he's looking for Dr. Manhattan, if I have this correct.
And Jess, everyone's pointing out that he created the New 52. That's what Dr. Manhattan did.
Oh, the New 52.
Right. That was kind of the whole point. Is that that's why all the things were a little bit different, like the JSA not existing, Wally West. So he was the one who kind of tampered with all of that. You kind of see that play out somewhat in the Rebirth one-shot that kicked everything off. Whenever Wally West and Barry Allen embraced, Wally, how could they ever forget you? Things like that.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. Okay, I apologize. I got my reboots mixed up. So it's the New 52. Okay. Yes. So they're trying to find Dr. Manhattan, these guys from that particular Earth. They show up on Earth. And why don't you tell us what they did when they showed up on Earth? Our Earth, or where Superman's Earth is.
Yeah, well, I don't want to spoil too much, but they interact with a lot of different characters. Like Lex Luthor is a big part of this, Lois Lane. I would say, first and foremost, which I was surprised about and pleasantly surprised, that this book is mainly about Superman, all told, and how important Superman is. It's not just the DC universe, but every universe that exists outside the DC universe, or all the different reverberations of it. So essentially, the main DC universe is the center, and there's all these other different universes that spin out of it. And there's a lot of different controversies going on. Like they have the Supermen theory, that the U.S. government's actually creating all these different metahumans, and they're saying 98% of the heroes in the world, if people have superpowers, are American. And so it's probably likely that the American government's the one who's churning these things out and churning these people out. And so Ozymandias definitely isn't what he seems. He has a plan behind his plan to save his universe. Because basically they're hitting midnight and nuclear Armageddon is coming.
Right. Right.
And do you want to get into spoilers at all, or should we hold off on that?
I don't know. We can talk a little bit more about it, and then don't I have a spoiler banner or something somewhere? Let's see.
Well, Jeff, let's talk about our overall feelings about it, maybe, before we do that. What did you, after reading the 12th issue, what was your thoughts coming out of it? Was it positive or negative?
I am going to be completely honest and say that while this art was gorgeous, I thought it was a bit muddled. I had trouble following it. I wasn't sure what Jeff Johns was going for here, and I was ultimately disappointed with it because of all the interesting characters. I think he threw in a lot of characters, and a lot of them went nowhere. They were just like in there, and I think it was I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I was just not a fan of this. I thought it was a muddled mess with a bunch of separate little vignettes that got pushed together. I found it extremely difficult to follow. I'm the comedian's alive on our Earth somehow. I'm willing to reread it, give it some time and reread it. But I found it to be confusing and ultimately unsatisfactory.
I read it on Hoopla, and if you ever want to get rid of it, I'd be happy to take it off your hands because I really liked it a lot.
Okay, good. Tell me why you liked it.
I was surprised about what it was ultimately about. And I think it described why the DC universe is so much different than the Watchmen universe, and how the Watchmen universe can be saved by being influenced by the DC universe. I thought it was really interesting to see why is the Watchmen universe so dark, and why is it so dreary? Why is there no hope when there are heroes there? And the reason is there's no Superman. That's the reason why. The DC universe wouldn't work without Superman. Mm-hmm. And as someone who just recently started really loving Superman and seeing how essential he is, without Superman, the DC universe really wouldn't work. You need to really have him. He's the linchpin. And I think that's what Jeff Johns' main point is. Mm-hmm. And I think the book ends on the note of the Watchmen universe needs its Superman version. And it's about Dr. Manhattan going from a passive observer to an active participant in what's going on around him. Because Dr. Manhattan could change the world. He can make it better. But he's like, oh, that's not what's supposed to happen. I'm not going to get involved. And I think him being Superman caused him to realize he should get involved. And he should be more a part of actually making his universe better. And I'm not saying that it was perfect or that every single character got their due. With so many different characters, I think some kind of got lost in the mix a little bit. But I really liked overall what he was trying to communicate about why the DC universe is so special, and talking about every single iteration of these characters is valid. Every single iteration of these characters is important. The whole canon of the DC universe is a mess. It's really confusing, but who cares? It's all about these characters, and they're all Superman. They're all Batman. No matter what version you love, they're still the characters that at the end of the day that we look to for hope and for aspiration. And I just really like the overall message of this book, because the overall message of Watchmen is the exact opposite. And if showing how the universe can actually infect that and make it better in a way. And someone asked earlier, do you have to read Watchmen? You absolutely do. Otherwise, it's not really going to make much sense to you. And I really did enjoy this book, Jess.
And it's quite possible. This happens to me sometimes. My first read of a book, it doesn't hit me. And on my second or third read of a book, it does click with me. So it's entirely possible that I just wasn't in the right frame of mind, or I wasn't getting it last night, or it just wasn't clicking with me. And when I read it again, it may click with me. Because it has all the components of a good book. I think it's got the germ of an idea in there, especially as you're saying with Superman as the symbol of hope. I think is interesting, and I think it's entirely possible. I'll reread it again in 6 months or something, and I may change my mind. It's possible.
And Jesse Christian points out something that I agree with, is why I liked it. The book finds a way to canonize every era perfectly. It actually makes sense for why crises happen. I think it made that muddled mess of Infinite Crisis, the first crisis they had. It made it all make sense to me. Yeah. And it made it like a beautiful tapestry. For even though it's messy, it's still beautiful in its own way. Mm-hmm. And I really liked how he did that. So I really enjoyed this book. And I'm someone who, I'm not like a Watchmen fanatic of like, you can't touch Watchmen, it needs to stay by itself. Like, I think the Watchmen TV show is better than the actual Watchmen comic. That's my subjective opinion. I think Watchmen the comic is so important to the industry. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't have comics as we know it. I think it's a masterpiece. It's a classic, but it's not one of my top 10 favorite books that I read all the time. I mean, I've read it multiple times, and I really enjoy it. But I always tell Jess, I think Watchmen, the comic, is very cold and distant. It's like Alan Moore's keeping you at an arm's length, whereas the TV show is so emotional, and it engages you on a visceral level and really makes you invest in the characters in the way that Watchmen really wasn't able to do in some ways. And I think the Watchmen TV show surpasses the original comic. That might be blasphemous to some of you. That's just my subjective opinion. I still think the TV show is a lot better than Doomsday Clock, but it's hard to really compare them. It's like apples and oranges because the whole DC universe being thrown into here changes it. I would say this is more of a DC book than a Watchmen book at the end of the day. It's mainly just showing how the DC universe could really influence the Watchmen universe. That's basically what it is at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I understand what you're saying. I wish I found it more enjoyable, and hopefully when I reread it, I will. It's entirely possible I will send you this book.
Okay, well, I'd be open to that because I read on Hoopla. I'm assuming one day they're going to have an absolute or an oversized hardcover. DC, what are you doing coming out with an oversized trade paperback or something, a standard size trade paperback this fall? Nobody wants that. That's so stupid. They're going to come out with a standard size trade paperback of all 12 issues. Just do an absolute, do an oversized deluxe. Nobody wants that. So you need to hire this guy and get him in there. Yes, you wouldn't give us a trade paperback of this, even though you don't love it. You know that people want it still.
Well, first of all, this is the kind of art that you want to see in an absolute because it's art.
This is very fantastic art, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, this is just absolutely gorgeous art, and this screams out for an absolute, not a trade paperback. No, this is. I would say this would make a good. If they can do an absolute for Killing Joke, they can certainly do an absolute for this.
And I know IQ said there's a bigger market for trades, but I think sadly Doomsday Clock is going to go the way of Watchmen, where they're going to milk it for all it's worth and release it in every format because they know people will buy it. Like, how many different ways can they collect Sandman? How many different ways can they collect Watchmen? You know what I mean? It's like they just keep re-collecting it in different ways. And whenever there's an absolute, I'll get it. I'll definitely buy it because I really love this artwork, like you said.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna give it away or anything. I'm gonna give it another try because this was so.
It's very dense.
Such a major effort on these guys' part, and I really love Jeff Johns, so I really want to give it another try in 6 months or something.
At what point did you kind of sour on it? Was there a point where you were digging it, or were you never really digging it?
I remember you sent me a text that said you were 4 issues in and really digging it, and I hit the 4th issue and I said, we're reading different books.
Of course, subjective. I wasn't as big of a fan as Martian Manhunter as you were, and you're a fan of this book as I am. So it is how it is.
Yeah, it's I really did not care for new and unimproved Rorschach. I I felt like if they were going to introduce Rorschach again, they should make him. He was like he was getting bullied. He wasn't standing up for himself at all. He would constantly be shoved aside, and I don't understand the reason for his character.
I really liked who Rorschach was, so that was interesting of who he ended up being. And his backstory is really interesting to me. So I guess we felt differently about that too. I'm glad he wasn't a carbon copy of Rorschach. I thought it was cool how they kind of retrofitted that character and made him a little bit different.
Yeah.
I like the backstory and how they utilized a character related to someone in the original book. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Someone's asking if you like Before Watchmen, Jess.
That is a good question. There are some stories that I did like and some that I thought were okay. There's a lot of universal dislike for Before Watchmen. I personally liked it. I at least liked it all, and then I loved some of it, like the Darwin Cook stuff. I should go to my bookshelf and grab them real quick. Just a second. I know it's unprofessional to be off camera, but what are you gonna do? This is my show, so I'm gonna do it. Let's see. There's Minutemen and Silk Spectre by Darwin Cook. This was really good. Let's see. I liked Night Owl and Dr. Manhattan.
Who's that by, Jess?
J. Michael Straczynski.
Okay.
Let's see. Did he write the whole thing?
And then I think Brian Azzarello did Comedian and Rorschach, right?
Yeah. And I was okay with that one. And then Ozymandias and Crimson Corsair was by Lane Wayne, also known as Len Wein. That was okay. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. But I'm one of the few people that liked it.
So I don't think you didn't hate any of them. There were just some that you said were just okay.
Yeah, I think Gabe and I are about the only people who really liked it, and I'm not going to hedge my bets here. I'm just going to go ahead and say I did like a lot of it, and I found it enjoyable to read. I didn't feel like I'm like you say, where you're not a person that feels like Watchmen can't be tampered with. I think Watchmen, the comic book, stands on its own and always will. So you can do stuff like Doomsday Clock and Before Watchmen, and you can either buy it and read it or just ignore it. You can't ignore Watchmen, the comic.
Yeah.
You can ignore the TV show, although you're doing yourself a great disservice because it's fantastic. But Watchmen, the comic, stands on its own, has to be read, changed the course of comics, as you said. And if you want to read an interpretation of what the characters were like before Watchmen, pick it up on Hoopla or something. I enjoyed it, and I can see why some people didn't. It's a personal preference thing.
Yeah, I don't think Doomsday Clock really. You don't have to read Doomsday Clock in terms of Watchmen, even for the DC universe. Like, if you don't care about how the New 52 happened or how the Rebirth universe kind of went back to the reset, you don't have to read this book. And I almost don't even view this as a direct sequel to Watchmen in a way. I think it's almost like this is what would happen if the DC universe and the Watchmen universe collided in a particular way. I mean,
Shuo4, no, you don't have to read Before Watchmen at all. Only if you want to. It's completely optional. I will say you need to watch the television show, though, because that was some great television show. That was a great TV show.
Doc Collector, I read Doomsday Clock on Hoopla, so you can read it that way for sure. So you can definitely, I would just check it out on Hoopla first, just before you decide what you want to do, if you want to buy it or not. Jess, how are you feeling about the new Rorschach series by Tom King?
The idea of it?
Yeah, are you excited to read it, or are you kind of like, eh?
Yeah, I am. I want to see what he can do with Rorschach.
We're both big Tom King fans. I love Jorge Fornes, who's doing the art. He did some stuff on Batman. He did some stuff on Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky. He's kind of like this generation's David Mazzucchelli. His style is very similar. And so I'm really open to it. Like you said, I'm not trying to prejudge things before they come out. I want to read something and let's see if it stands on its own or not. So I'm excited to read it. I think Tom King does his best work with a 12-issue maxi series, and that's what this is. So I'm really excited to read Strange Adventures that he's doing right now with Mitch Gerrits, and I'm excited to read this new Rorschach series because Rorschach's my favorite character from the original story.
Yeah, mine too.
I think he's the most interesting by far.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Have you ever heard anyone who said their favorite character is Night Owl? Dan Dryberg. He's played by the most vanilla actor that you love on the movie, Patrick Wilson.
Oh, I never seen the movie.
Isn't he your least favorite actor?
He is.
You think he's the most bland actor, right?
Perfect casting.
I've never heard anyone say, "Oh, the Dan Dryberg Night Owl is my favorite Washington character." No one's ever said that. If someone loves Dan Dryberg, please let us know in the comments. I've never heard anybody ever say that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that doesn't, I haven't even seen Watchmen the movie, and I know I need to see like the 4-hour director's cut, and it's supposed to be great. But I
avoid the one that has the Tales of the Black Freighter. You don't need to watch that.
Right. Okay.
Even that part of the comic, I will say they have like their own version of the Tales of the Black Freighter in this Doomsday Clock, and it's like a 40s movie. That worked a lot better for me than the Black Freighter because the Black Freighter was so random, and it really tied that well into the story. I thought the way they did that 40s noir private investigator movie in Doomsday Clock really tied into the plot really well.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah. And someone asked, why has Jeff Johns never done his own original series in terms of a creator-owned series? I think from what I've heard him say, he just loves working with superheroes, and that's his preferred genre, and he's fantastic at it. I think he would do a great job doing an original series, though. Hopefully one day he'll do something with Image or someone else. I have a hard time imagining that because he's only ever done DC. I mean, he did Marvel for a little bit, then he went over to DC exclusively. It's hard to imagine Jeff Johns outside of the DC universe, though. But I'd be open to seeing that.
Yeah.
And I really don't want him to be doing much of the movie stuff anymore. I think he's better suited for comics, in my opinion. I think that's where he thrives.
Right.
IQ is surprised you've never seen the movie Watchmen, Jess.
Yeah. Yeah, at first I heard that it was such a note-for-note recreation that there was no reason to see it. You just needed to read the comic book. But I want to see it, and I'm interested. I mean, I have read Watchmen 50 times probably, from picking up the singles back in the mid-'80s to owning it in about 4 different formats. So I know the story pretty well, and I just wasn't really moved to see it live action if it was just going to be the exact same thing. But yeah, I mean, I eventually want to see it.
Yeah, Jesse, I think I have heard Jeff Johns say he wants to do creator-owned stuff, but he's been saying that for a while, and he's never done it. So I'm just like, maybe he won't ever do it. I'm sure he wants to do it, but he seems like he's pretty content with doing DC stuff now. So hopefully he'll do it in the future. Oh, Night Owl is actually my favorite character from Watchmen. Elvis Parker, you're the first person. Good for you, man.
There it is.
I'm glad there's someone. I don't think he's like a horrible character. I just didn't think he was that interesting. Comparatively.
He was the foil that they needed, the kind of the superhero that lost his nerve in old age, sort of punch, and just wasn't in shape for it, and represented the reality of aging out of your youthful superheroism and losing your nerve. stuff like that. I mean, he served his purpose.
Yeah, it's hard to be really interesting when you're standing shoulder to shoulder with characters like Rorschach and the Comedian. I think when they're and Dr. Manhattan as well. I think their backstories and their power sets in some ways. I know Dr. Manhattan's the one who has powers, but I think that he's just they're a lot more interesting than he is. But I'm glad, Elvis. I'm glad that you're really into Night Owl.
Yeah, and I need to read the Stargirl book. The Stargirl book is, I think, Jeff Johns' first published work, and it's been out of print forever, so I really want to read it.
Do you know what's holding me back from buying that trade paperback? Can you guess?
The TV cover on it.
Why do they do that? It's so annoying. Yeah, I don't. I have the Shazam, to much of my chagrin, I have the Shazam by Jeff Johns movie cover. That's all I could find.
Oh,
but I'm definitely gonna get that deluxe edition when it comes out because I want that out of my house. I never even bought novels when they had the cover of the movie on the front. It always annoyed me.
It annoys me too. Like,
I get why they do it. I just don't like that they do it.
I don't like it.
I get they're trying to market the movie and they want to sell the book even more, but I never think the movie cover is better than the original cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan, I've heard that David Ayer, who directed Suicide Squad, wants to do like his own cut of the movie. I feel like he's being a little bit too antagonistic to actually see it happen. He's just calling DC and Jeff Johns out left and right, which Zack Snyder never did. I think he's being too antagonistic for his own good. He just needs to calm down a little bit. But that's really hard for David Ayer to do because he's a pretty in-your-face kind of guy with the movies that he makes, with movies like End of Watch and Training Day. I think he's a pretty intense guy from what I've heard. So I doubt that'll actually happen. No. I think he's being a little bit too in DC's face to have them be like, yeah, come and do the director's cut. Come and finish that.
I hadn't heard anything about that.
Yeah, I'm not. We'll see what happens with the Justice League. If Justice League, the director's cut goes really well, we might see more of this stuff happening. Who knows?
Is it going to be? Well, I don't know. Where's it going to be released first?
Depending. It's going to be an HBO Max exclusive.
Sorry?
It's going to be an HBO Max exclusive.
Oh, yeah. You said that.
I think they'll end up doing it on Blu-ray probably in 4K. But I think it's going to be HBO Max for probably like 5 or 6 months before they do the Blu-ray in 4K. That's what I would think, at least.
Okay.
Crazy Jane hates it when they make the character in the comic book look like the actor. I'm trying to think of an example of that.
Gary Frank and his Superman that looks like Christopher.
Oh, yeah. Are you a fan of that or no?
It doesn't bother me. I know they did it like as an homage for Christopher Reeve, and so it doesn't bother me. I can see why it bothers some people, but it doesn't bother me.
Well, Jeff Johns worked for Richard Donner for years.
Oh, he did.
I think his favorite iteration of Superman is the Superman the movie. That's why he loves it so much. And I think Gary Frank does a good job of recreating that Superman, but not having it look stiff or strange. I think it always looks good, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks natural.
I think Gary Frank's become one of my favorite artists recently. I think he's cracked the top 10 for me. I mean, his work on Batman Earth 1 is phenomenal. I mean, Superman Secret Origins was fantastic. Jess, how excited are you to finally get Volume 3 of Batman Earth 1 this year? Well, you haven't been waiting very long because you just read the first 2 volumes. How excited are you to actually get that this year?
Has that been solicited? Are they already doing it?
It hasn't been solicited, but Jeff Johns keeps saying it's going to be this year.
Well, I am absolutely knocked out excited about it because those are 2 of my favorite Batman books and maybe my 2 favorite Batman books of all time. I love those.
I'm excited about Marvel having the rights to Alien and Predator comics. What do you think, Jess? I think you just bought a bunch of Alien and Predator comics, didn't you? Or didn't you buy them?
I bought the I bought the issue. Let's see, where is that? I think I've already filed it over there. I like the Dark Horse special editions that they just put out. Those things are really nice. But that's probably as far as I'm going to take it. I'm getting the reprints in the fancy package. I mean, really nice hardcover that just came out from Dark Horse, I probably won't read more than that. I love the movies, but I probably wouldn't read more than that.
Are you more of an Alien or Predator guy?
Alien.
I think the only good Predator movie is the first Predator. So I love the first Predator. I think Alien has a lot more better movies. I think Aliens is my favorite one of them all.
I agree. I would like to see again Alien versus Predator.
I was not a fan of that. I know when it first came out, and I was being like, no thanks. And I know Gabe and Lou will ride or die with the Predator. That they love that movie. Luke is over plus for that movie, though.
What's that?
It sounds like you kind of have to be riding high to be enjoying that movie.
I think so, yeah.
From what Lou has said, at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not too excited about Marvel and DC Marvel having the rights to Alien and Predator. I mean, if it has some good creators, I'll be interested. But it really depends on what the writers and artists will be on those titles. Sam Cluxon has a question for you, Jess. Do you like movies about the stock market and Wall Street? And if so, which ones do you like?
Gosh, I've seen a couple. I saw one called Rollover with Jane Fonda and Chris Christopherson or something back in like 1985. And then I saw Wall Street by Oliver Stone.
The Big Short is really good.
Oh, The Big Short.
The 2008 financial crisis. I think that was the housing crisis. I'm pretty sure that's on Netflix. Don't quote me on that. But it was on Netflix for a while. That's a good movie.
Good movie.
And they're also idiot-proof for people like me. Like every once in a while, a famous celebrity like Margot Robbie will show up to explain something confusing in a really simple way. So don't let that really complex situation turn you off to watching the movie. They really are able to bring it down to an understandable level for people like me. I know Jess is more savvy with that kind of stuff, so he's probably fine to follow it all the way through. But it was nice to really understand that the housing market crash in an understandable way.
Yeah, that was a really good movie.
That was really good. I haven't seen the original Wall Street in a long time. Are you a fan of that movie?
I liked it when I watched it. When was that? Like 1988 or something?
87.
87? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I liked it. There were good performances. I knew what he was trying to get at. That Gordon Gekko character was a little over the top, but in reality, maybe he's not that over the top.
I don't think so. I think a lot of times fact is stranger than fiction. There's a lot of things you can't make up that happens in real life, in my opinion. Just put Cates on Aliens. Oh, that would be fantastic. Donny Cates on the Aliens franchise. I would definitely show up for that. If him and Jeff Shaw did that. I'm pretty much there for anything Donny Cates does at this point. I have read Actually, I have read one thing from him I didn't like. It was one of his original books. Oh, what was that called? Where it involves like the trucking and what was that called? I can't remember. I remember it was really good in the beginning and the ending was not good at all.
Trucking.
It has what's that movie? It has something to do with smuggling stuff. If anybody remembers what some of his original books were called with Dark Horse, I think they went over to Image. One of them was that one where the superhero gets his powers for being drunk.
Oh yeah,
Ghost Fleet. That's what it was. I didn't like Ghost Fleet.
Ghost Fleet. Okay, yeah.
And T-Lar Blount is in the house.
T-Lar Blount, how's it going, buddy?
And Tyler Blunt showed me the other day that he not only can do Mark Hamill's Joker, he can do Skeletor from He-Man. We've been texting recently, and he asked me if I read the He-Man Omnibus, and I said no, but I'm assuming you're reading aloud Skeletor's lines in that voice. He sent me a video of him actually reading the lines in Skeletor's voice. It was pretty close. I think Tyler missed the boat on his real calling, voice acting.
I think you might be right.
Tyler, if you really are a fan of the show, like you say you are, you should call in as Skeletor right now and give us a few lines.
That'd be great. I've got my phone on in case T-Lar wants to call in and give us Skeletor. I don't even know what Skeletor sounds like.
Have you seen Skeletor? The character, he's always on memes and stuff.
I know who he is from memes. Yeah,
he has a really high pitched voice, like "Hey man." I mean, if Tyler calls in, he can do it a lot better. And Streakazoid says, have you ever seen Margin Call? That's a good movie about the financial crash. I've never seen that.
I haven't either.
I never saw Wolf of Wall Street. That movie seemed to be a little bit too much for me. I watched the first 10 minutes and was like, this isn't the movie for Taylor Brown. Like Jess would say. A lot of times Jess will tell me, this isn't the Taylor Brown book. Try to think of an example that you told me, don't read this. I think I jokingly said, I'm going to read The Crossed by Garth Ennis, and Jess is like, that's not a Taylor Brown book. Is he here?
Hello?
He-Man? Skeletor here. I'm looking for you, He-Man. I'm drunk, I'm lonely, and I'm bored. And I'm looking for a good time. Should I swing by Castle Grayskull? Stop it, merman. Get out of here, I'm on the phone.
Skeletor, is the Joker by Mark Hamill, is he at Castle Grayskull as well?
No. I will never be seen with that fool. Not after the birthday card he gave me.
Skeletor, did you buy the new Mondo Batman albums?
No. Who will overpay for that waste of space? I'm after one thing only. The power of Grayskull. And possibly some alone time with He-Man.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, Skeletor. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy.
Hope you all have a great night.
You too, Skeletor.
Thank you, Skeletor.
Someone mentioned that Trading Places is a great movie. That is a great movie.
Oh yeah, that's another really good stock market type movie. Jesse, Christian, that's how I get most of my modern social knowledge is from memes. Like Taylor sends me memes all the time, and memes go back and forth in all these chats, and that's how I learn who's who in the modern world.
I know you're not on Instagram a lot, Jess, but there's a lot of really funny like meme accounts on Instagram. That's usually where I find most of them.
Okay.
Some really good ones. I know you're not a big Instagram guy, but I usually just fill my feed with golden retrievers, comics, and memes that are funny. That's pretty much all my Instagram is.
I don't follow too many people. I do try and post 4 or 5 times a week, but I don't follow a lot of people. I do follow Mark Hamill, but that's the only. I don't even know who else I follow.
It's too bad Mark Hamill wasn't hanging out at Castle Grayskull. I would love to hear from him. Tyler Blunt, you're right. I can't believe Skeletor passed in that really awesome Batman vinyl. And whenever Jess gets that in, we'll make sure to show it off on the next Baturdays. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how long Mondo stuff takes to get in.
I think it said October.
Okay. Well, oh really? It's not even out yet. Okay.
No.
Mondo's business plans really confuses me. It's really weird to me, but I'm glad you're able to get it though.
The stock market comic book was Black Monday Murders, which was fantastic.
And don't listen to Lou Comics Guy 101. That is a fantastic book, and it will not bore you. Hopefully.
Oh, he didn't like it?
Lou said he fell asleep within a couple pages. I kind of stayed away from it for a while because of that. And you kind of said you might not like it if you're not a big financial market person. I mean, I do stocks, and we have different funds and stuff like that. But I'm by no means an expert. But I was able to follow it really easily. I love that. That was one of my favorite books I've read this year. Good.
That's good.
And but the hard thing is, as Jonathan Hickman usually does, he hasn't returned for the third and final arc yet. Right. And I think Tom Coker had a lot of medical issues, if I remember correctly.
That's not good.
That might have thrown a wrench in their plans. I'm hoping he returns as a third arc so we can get a hardcover, because Hickman usually always gets a hardcover.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for East of West to finally be concluded with that third hardcover coming out this fall. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I read the first hardcover and said there's no reason to read the second one because I'm going to forget everything that happens. I have to reread them all anyway. So I'm just waiting for the third one to come in and do a big reread. And yeah, Streakerzoid, I did see the double-sided Two-Face poster, and it looked great. The hard thing is that like how do you really display that? I guess you have to constantly switch if you want to, because one side is like Harvey Dent, the other side is Two-Face. I feel like that's cool, but it'd be kind of hard to display. You have to constantly like take it off the wall and switch it around.
You need to put it in a portfolio to really enjoy it, I think.
Ooh, Tyler Blunt's shooting at you, Jess, throwing some shots.
This one?
Yeah. Jeff is making some progress. It's slowly but surely happening.
I am making progress. I'm enjoying it. I like it a lot. Elvis Parker has a good question. Would you recommend DC Goes to War for someone who doesn't usually read war comics? I need to do a overview of that book, and I will answer that question. I think it's a good beginner's guide because it's their most popular war stories. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, you could read that. You don't need to have any prior knowledge. So I think you can go ahead and read it, even though you don't normally read war comics. I think DC picked what were considered their most popular war stories over the years and put them in that book.
Elvis Parker, if you really want to get into war comics, you might want to check out Garth Ennis, especially Era by TKO. It's about a Russian woman sniper back in World War II, and that's a fantastic book. Wow, you really had that ready to go, Jess. Good job. It has fantastic art, the best art Steve Epting has ever done in his career. That's saying a lot from a guy who did Captain America and Velvet with Ed Brubaker. I think this is by far his best work. And colors by Elizabeth Breitweiser makes it really pop that much more. I recommend this book for anyone, even if you're not a big war fan. Wouldn't you, Jess?
Oh, 100%.
It's a totally different spin on the war story. I thought it was fantastic. And like I said earlier in the stream, Garth Ennis did say he's working on their TKO book right now, and I'm pretty sure it might be a war story. So that should be really cool.
Here's a question I can answer. Jess, I love when you review older DC content. There's not much good content of that on YouTube. That's what Omar is always telling me I should be, is the older DC content channel and be highlighting and reviewing all those books. So I'll try and get more older DC content. I certainly have enough older books by them. I will try and do that real big.
And by that, is he talking about like Silver Age, Golden Age Omnis? Is that what he's probably mentioning?
Probably Silver Age stuff. Like I have like Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing. Well, the Swamp Thing's Bronze Age, but I have a Doom Patrol overview out there and some other stuff. Some Batman Golden Age, some Superman Golden Age.
Tyler Blunt, this is the summer of DC for you.
Yeah.
We'll have to have Tyler on at the end of the month to talk about his summer of DC. I mean, at the end of the summer, to talk about how his summer of DC went.
Okay, real big Cohen's talking gold, silver, and bronze, basically.
I really want the Bronze Age Batmans to come out so I can finally read Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil in the original coloring. I'm waiting for that. But as we always say, that might be like 20 years or 10 years because it's taken a long time. And Jess is saying you always say hopefully you're above ground for that, don't you always say that? You always say you're hopefully above ground for that. So I'm sure you will be, though. Taylor to Jess. Oh, that's awesome, Jess. You're going to be reading One Piece. That's great.
That is a lie.
And everyone, Jess really wants there to be manga recommendations in the comments.
That is also a lie.
I've heard that someone's talking about Ennis's war stories on Battlefields. I heard Battlefields is really good.
It is.
I think you told me that.
I did. Yeah, it's great. His war stories and Battlefields is great. I don't know that I've read Enemy Ace. This is from Lars. I don't think I've read Enemy Ace, but Battlefields and war stories are really good.
And he has a new hardcover coming out from Aftershock that's a war story as well. It's a hardcover, and it's about, I think it's like bomber planes in World War II, or it's some kind of planes involved in it. It's supposed to be really good though, so I might pick that up whenever it comes available. Pretty soon.
I would do.
I'm waiting on my Walk Through Hell hardcover to come. I ordered it through Amazon. I Walk Through Hell, the hardcover. I'm waiting for that to come right now from Amazon. I ordered it on In-Stock Trades the first day, but it sold out. I wasn't able to get it.
Did you know that it has a printing error?
Oh, does it really? Is it a really serious one?
I haven't found out from Kristen yet. Her dad sent her a picture. It's got 2 duplicate photos, 2 duplicate pages. And so I sent her a picture of what the next page should look like, but she hasn't gotten back to me yet to say if the next page is in there.
Oh, okay. This has been a painful experience trying to get this book.
Yeah.
I ordered it at 3:05 the day it came out. I still didn't get it, which means a lot of people from 3:01 or 3 o'clock to 3:04 must have like bombarded it and really ordered it really quickly. So hopefully it's not too big of a deal. Hopefully it doesn't mess up the story too much for me.
Well, I can always send you a picture of what the page is supposed to be read out.
Send me the picture. I'll print it out and tape it into my book. What do you think is the most annoying misprint or error in a book that you've ever come across?
I think this latest Gideon Falls, where
what was the misprint with that one? What was
the last issue has no word bubbles.
The whole last issue?
Yeah, like half of it has no dialogue bubbles, so you don't know what they're saying.
They have to fire their quality assurance person. That's ridiculous. How do you not see that?
I don't know, but IST has already said we're sending out free replacements in September or something as soon as they come out. Don't email us. We know who you are. We're sending them all out, so that's good.
That reminds me of whenever George is playing Trivial Pursuit with the Bubble Boy. Morse. Oh, no. It's the Moops. Let me see that. It's the Morse. It's a misprint. That reminds me of. I think my most annoying misprint or error is in the Criminal first hardcover, where there's a couple word balloons that are missing.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that's another reason why I'm struggling. Should I buy the new Image reprints of that? I don't know. I'm struggling with that, Jess, because I don't want to double dip, but it might get me.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. And Chris Kaufman, we're talking about the hardcover Walk Through Hell. It's about a quarter of the way through. Oh, no, it's about halfway through the hardcover.
And I was watching an interview with Garth Ennis and the owner of Aftershock, or the publisher, and he was saying they definitely underestimated how many copies of that hardcover to make. They definitely didn't make enough, he said.
Oh.
He said the demand was much higher than they expected. So hopefully it doesn't really impede on my reading abilities with that book. So I'm really excited to read it because I know it's like one of your favorite books of the past couple of years.
Yes.
Is that your favorite Garth Ennis book ever?
I don't know about that. I'd have to really sit down and think about all the Garth Ennis books that I've read.
All right, Chris Kaufman says that he did not see an error.
I did not see an error. I know, and I said that it's about. I addressed that, and I said it's about halfway through the hardcover.
I really don't care about a duplicate page as long as it doesn't replace another page that's important.
Exactly.
I think I have that. I don't have the Uncanny X-Force Omnis. I have the 2 complete collections. I think it might be the first complete collection has 2 duplicate pages, but didn't mess up the reading experience for me.
As long as there's nothing missing.
Right. That Gideon Falls, I can't believe that. That's ridiculous.
It's a pretty big mistake.
Really,
I didn't know what to do about it.
Jesse Christian has a comment that probably relates more to you than me, or a question about the Starman Compendium.
Oh, the fact that they just announced that they're going to release Starman in compendium form. I personally, I agree with Omar, who's firmly in the camp that compendiums are not the way for this to be released. I'm not a big compendium fan. I feel like they're kind of lazy and
they're cheap.
Yeah, they're cheaply put together, and I think DC is completely on board with reprinting everything Starman. So you're going to get the whole Starman story, which is important. So as far as that's concerned, that's great. I'm very impressed with that. But compendium format doesn't do it for me. I think some nice hardcovers, even some nice trade paperbacks would be better than a compendium. I am not a fan of compendiums, but I am a fan of them following out and finishing this run. And Omar says they are 100% devoted to that. So I'm okay with that.
I'm not a big fan of compendiums either because they kind of have the same issue that a lot of paperback novels have, where it kind of gets a crease in the middle.
Yeah.
Which really annoys me because I really am particular about my books, how they look on the shelf with the spines. And I don't want to see a big crease down the middle. That would just really annoy me. So I'm not a big compendium fan, so I'm not really going to get that. I've never read Starman. I would like to, but I'm not really going to get the compendium. I'm just not really interested. And I get IQ has a good point. Compendiums are great for people on a budget, and it's great for people who don't really care about how their books look on the shelf in terms of the display. But for collectors like me, I'd rather just have something else. That's just me personally, though. If you like them, that's great.
Yeah.
And Tyler Blunt's talking about Death Metal 2. I think he's reading the new Death Metal event.
For those who are tired of Crisis, because it's called an anti-crisis, so it's made just for y'all. Okay.
I'll read it eventually when it gets collected.
Yeah, me too.
DC will collect it in yet another haphazard fashion like they did with the first Metal. Some oversized hardcover, a couple of deluxe hardcovers, and a trade. I'll never understand that as long as I live.
No, I enjoyed those books, though.
Oh, I love those books. We both enjoyed those.
Yeah, we did.
I'm looking forward to reading the Death Metal whenever it comes out in collected editions. I'll read them all. Did you get Undiscovered Country by Scott Snyder and Charles Soule?
I am going to hoopla that for next week's Omnicat.
I haven't been hearing a lot of great things on the Facebook page.
I haven't read anything yet, actually. But that's one thing that Kristen and I think, are going to read.
Didn't you already read all of your books that you're going to do because you ended up doing a Q&A last week?
Yes.
So you're just adding one onto that.
No. That's for a couple. I'm sorry. It's for a couple Saturdays from now.
Oh, okay.
I already got the list for a couple Saturdays from now. Yeah, we still have to finish what we never even did last Saturday.
And someone's asking about TKO. Do you think TKO has any plans to do hardcovers? I'm not really sure. I think they're really just focusing on getting all their other waves out there. I think that their third wave was supposed to be announced earlier on in March, then come out at the end of the summer. Obviously, that didn't work out for them because of the pandemic. I'm not sure when the third wave will even come out. And the thing about TKO is that they do like mini series. So I'm not sure if they would have enough for like a really big hardcover. It would just be 6 issues. It's not like they have like continuing ongoing series. So it might be kind of hard for them to do a deluxe hardcover unless they have a series that actually does continue and do more than 6 issues. But I really love the trades because they are oversized. So you at least get that oversized artwork that we all really want. I've only read Sentient from the second wave. I heard a lot of people weren't a huge fan of the second wave compared to the first wave of books. I think you agree with that too, Jess, didn't you?
I agree with that.
Okay, Chris, is it just a duplicate page, or is there a page that's totally missing that you think would affect the reading of it?
Yeah. There's a duplicate page, and we want to know, does it take... I'll show you the page that it's supposed to come next. Because I just... I did this all afternoon with Kristen. Let's see where this is.
And while you're looking for that, Team Omnidog, will Death and Glory return? Yes, Rick Remender just showed some artwork for the final issue of Death and Glory. I think it's issue 11. So that trade paperback should be coming out at the end of this year, I believe. So Jess and I really love the first volume, so I'm excited to read the second volume.
Yeah. Okay, wait a minute. Now I'm trying to find the.
Or is saying she wants your Marvel and DC statue collection, Jess.
Oh, thank you.
Jake Ashcroft, I would love Garth Ennis to write a Captain America war story. Anything that involves war, I would definitely read it from Garth Ennis. He's pretty much the only one making war comics right now, and he's doing a fantastic job of it. So I don't think he's really super into Marvel and DC books anymore besides The Punisher, but I would definitely read that if he did it. Our favorite Batman detective story? That's a really good question. My favorite Batman detective story. Do you
Here's what the next page is supposed to look. Excuse me really quick. Chris, here's what the next page is supposed to look like after that duplicate. This is supposed to be the next page. So if the next page shows up like this, then you're not missing anything.
Please let that page show up. You're probably happy you stuck with the trade paperbacks now, aren't you?
I am now. This would have driven me bonkers if there was something missing.
The one thing is, though, if it is still there, it'll throw off the whole rest of the book, though, won't it? Because, like, splash pages won't be where they're supposed to be. Other pages won't be where they're supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, every comic book page is there for a reason.
It's missing.
Oh, really?
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's really annoying.
Oh.
I think it's already shipped to me, or it's already shipping on its way. I wonder if I should just return it to Amazon. That's going to be really annoying.
I'm really sorry, dude.
Ugh.
I understand your pain.
So Chris is saying you read the whole thing. You didn't really notice it, though, did you? Is that what you're saying, Chris? I think you said you read the whole thing and enjoyed it. So maybe he just didn't notice. Oh, that may explain some of the splash pages. Uh-oh. That's really annoying. That really took the wind out of my sails. That and the Wi-Fi.
Your Wi-Fi's been fine, though, for a while.
I don't know what the issue is. Every other thing we do in this house is fine. I do Zoom calls. Our streaming is fine. It's only whenever I do these shows every once in a while. It's not every time. It's like every other time. And to upgrade our Wi-Fi, it's $20 a month to upgrade your Wi-Fi. So that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'll be able to do about it. Sam Cluxon has a nightmare he wants to share with us. The thought there might be books on my shelf with printing errors keeps me up at night.
But not enough to actually read my omnis to find out.
It sounds like you might have the books in the shrink wrap syndrome like Jess does.
Yeah.
Chris Kaufman says, yes, but I didn't notice what I didn't know wouldn't be there, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, so he didn't miss it.
Well,
So,
the reading experience, though. So, no, he's saying it didn't ruin the reading experience for him. He didn't notice anything. So maybe it's not that big of a deal.
okay.
Sorry to ruin your night, Chris Kaufman. It's too bad. Someone earlier asked us what our favorite Batman detective story is. Do you mean like favorite story from Detective Comics or favorite detective, like Batman as a detective story?
Oh, boy.
In terms of my favorite detective arc from that series, it would definitely be Black Mirror by Scott Snyder. That's my favorite from Detective Comics.
Yeah.
In terms of Batman as a detective, do you know what I really remember? Batman Mythology by Peter Tomasi. I thought that had a lot of really cool detecting moments in it, especially in the beginning. I really liked that.
Yeah, I agree.
Jeremy Laws is a good question for us, Jess.
Yeah, I'm going to let you answer it while I go get my cord because I'm running out of juice here. We've been on so long, but let me go get it.
I would say that in terms of prioritizing, I think that doing these shows with Jess has helped me because I have to make sure I get the books that we're actually reviewing, which is a big deal. But some of the books I can get on Hoopla, which is a big help. So if there's some books where I'm like, I don't know if I really want to buy that. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it. Like today, I didn't buy any of the books that we read today. I didn't buy Doomsday Clock. I didn't buy Martian Manhunter. I mainly didn't buy Martian Manhunter because I'm not a fan of Riley Rossmo's art. So that kind of led me not to buy that. In terms of prioritizing stuff, I think right now during this pandemic era, unfortunately, you have to hop on stuff a lot quicker than you used to. A lot of things are going out of stock on IST. A lot of things are going out of print a lot quicker. So if you're really seeing a hardcover, especially like an omnibus and absolute come out, and you're like, I wonder if I should get that. If you can afford it in your budget, I would try to hop on it when you can, because these things are going away really quickly. Because Emily told us on the Facebook group, Emily from IST, that people aren't buying less right now. They're buying a lot more than they used to. So they're running out of stock on these things really, really quick. So in terms of prioritizing, I would look at books going forward and say, do I need to have this right now? Am I worried that's going to go out of print? Am I worried it's going to be hard to get? They'll have to buy on eBay down the road. And there are some books like trade paperbacks. They're probably not going to go out of print right away. They usually don't go out of print. They do sometimes, but you have a better chance of those lasting longer for you. So a lot of times I prioritize hardcover purchases if I can. Like Lady Killer is finally back on IST, but that was out of stock for a while. So I had to buy this off Amazon. And so I wish I'd acted quicker with getting Lady Killer initially. So I just try to prioritize in those ways. What books am I doing with? What books am I reviewing with Jess? What books do I think will go out of print or out of stock really quick? And what books do I really need to have in my collection right now? That's probably the biggest question. What books do I need to have in my collection? Shu, she says she hasn't read Black Mirror. That is a book you need to have in your collection. I'm not sure if the Absolute's still in print. If it is, everyone needs that in their collection. That is one of my top 5 favorite Batman books of all time. I think Jess and I are both in agreement that that's the best Scott Snyder's ever been on Batman.
Oh, yeah. That was my favorite.
I think it's Black Mirror, then a close second is Court of Owls. But you can't beat Black Mirror. Jake Ashcroft has a question. Have we read Incredible Hulk by Jason Aaron? I'm thinking about reading that after Killer Be Killed. Have you read that, Jess?
I own it. I'm looking right at it, but I have not read it yet. Haven't read it yet.
Man Cave Theater is talking about the Last Days of American Crime movie and how it received a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. But he liked the movie.
Oh, you did?
You're the first person I've heard a positive review from. I also wasn't a huge fan of the book. I thought the book was decent. I thought it was probably the weakest book I've read from Rick Remender. And if that's his weakest, he's doing pretty good, in my opinion.
And I think I liked the book a little bit more than you did.
Yeah, but I don't think it was one of your favorite Rick Remender books. So I think you enjoyed it more, but it wasn't like in your top 5 Rick Remender books.
Well, Man Cave adored the film. So that's a pretty big statement.
Yeah, I'm not like a slave to Rotten Tomatoes, but if a movie gets like in the single digits, like an 8% or even a 0%, that kind of makes me pause and think, do I want to spend my time watching this movie? You know? If it's like in the 40s and 50s, I'll be like, whatever, I'll give it a chance. But when it's like 8%, 5%, 0%, that's kind of harder for me to justify. But I'm glad you really liked it. Yeah, I agree, Streaker Zoid, that Court of Owls is definitely close. It depends on your mood, but I think Black Mirror is the one that sticks with me. That Jock artwork is definitely up there for me. I love that book so much.
Wait a minute. I didn't see this leaked Howard Stern staff meeting video. I didn't see that. Somebody needs to send me a YouTube link for that. I want to see that.
Are you still a big Howard Stern guy?
Sorry?
Are you still a big Howard Stern guy?
Yeah, but I don't remember this one. I don't remember the leaked video, so I'd really like to see that. If one of you guys could either put the link in the comment section on YouTube, I'd appreciate it.
And Real Big Cohen asks, have we done Morrison's Batman yet? We have not, because the third Omni, I think, got delayed because of COVID. But I think Jess is waiting to get that Omni in, and we'll do a readathon at some point in the future. So I don't think you've read it for a while, right? Since it was single issues, I believe.
Single issues now.
Definitely need to do a lot of research for that one.
Cleveland City already sent it to me a long time ago. Okay. Thanks.
And Neil, I'm not sure if TKO ships to South Africa. I'm not exactly sure what their policy is. I'm sure you can go on their website and see what they say. If you even maybe try to buy some of their books and see if they'll even ship to you or not. Unfortunately, I'm not really familiar with shipping policies overseas as someone in America. Jake Ashcroft has a good observation. He would love to see a Lieber Mayhew and Garth Ennis comic. They'd be a great team together. I definitely agree. Unfortunately, Lieber Mayhew's last book wasn't in Jess and I's wheelhouse with Batman Damned.
No.
I think he's a great artist who hasn't done a lot of books that I really enjoy.
That's true.
That's just how I am right now. That's where I'm at with that. And Man Cave's asking us about the Preacher AMC series. I don't think Jess watched it.
Never saw it.
The first season and thought it was okay. I'm not a huge fan of the Preacher comic though either, so I'm probably not the best person to ask.
Let's see. Okay, Sam, I'll do that.
Big Cohen, we're excited to read. I think Jess, after our Superman Rebirth and Action readathon, I think Jess wants to do Brian Michael Bendis' Superman stuff at some point, and that ties into these books. And Lois Lane is by Greg Rucka, one of our favorite writers, so I'm really excited to read that. And I've heard nothing but good things about Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, I've heard great things about both these books, so I'm really excited.
And I know Jess and I are pretty hot and cold on Matt Fraction, but I've heard that Jimmy Olsen's right up there with his Hawkeye run, which is really high praise. So I'll definitely give it a chance.
Yeah, me too.
Did you used to read the Jimmy Olsen comic books?
His
series? Growing up, really weird stuff. Like he would like transform into different stuff, and
every issue he was like Giant Fish Man, Elastilad, Turtle Man. He would transform into all these things all the time.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I was 8 years old, so yeah.
Yeah, Batman Superman back in the 60s was pretty trippy.
Oh yeah, and Jimmy and all Lois Lane the comic book was her trying to trap Superman either into marrying her or revealing that he was Clark Kent.
Wasn't it called Lois, like Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane or something?
Yeah, and Superman's best friend Jimmy Olsen.
And I think Greg Rucka is. I think I heard him in an interview saying he's proud to say it's just Lois Lane. Like it's not that she's married to Superman that makes her interesting. It's everything else but that.
Okay.
Superman shows up in it sometimes. It's mainly a Lois Lane story.
Oh, that's good.
And one thing that he said that I really like is that you're never going to see what she's actually writing because nothing takes the wind out of your sails more than turning the page and seeing a big page of prose. And
yeah.
I love reading novels. I love prose, but I don't want it in my comic books. And it really does punch me in the stomach whenever I see that sometimes. You turn the page and it's like, oh, okay. I think we'll get to that eventually at some point.
Psycho Cleveland's correcting me. Superman's best pal, Jimmy Olsen. Okay, take it easy.
Did they have that collected, Jess?
No.
Oh, really?
No, that and Lois Lane and Sugar and Spike are my three most wanted DC Omnis. They'll never get it, but I really want them.
I mean, maybe they'll get Silver Age Omnis at some point.
Oh, I would buy those so fast.
Are they pretty much collecting everything from the Silver Age, or is it mainly just like Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman?
Well, they collected Supergirl and Legion of Superheroes from the Silver Age, and Doom Patrol from the Silver Age, Adam Strange from the Silver Age. I'm trying to. I don't have it down here. They're upstairs. Those are the Silver Age books that I can recall. Swamp Thing's Bronze Age. I can't. So they have released some things Silver Age. But I don't understand. I don't know. They've really just got to get to the Silver Age or simultaneously do Silver and Bronze or something. I don't see how anybody's interested in the Golden Age, but somebody like me. I mean, the market's 20 times bigger for the Bronze Age.
Right. I have no interest in the Golden Age, and I don't have interest in the Silver Age either. But I would definitely read some Bronze Age books, like I said, like with the Batman run by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams with the original covering.
Right.
Did you see Chris Kaufman had a final word on Walk Through Hell, the hardcover?
Whoop. Every issue starts with the cover on the right side of the page. You will miss the dialogue on that page, but it resets after only 4 pages as it's the end of issue 7.
So are we missing pages on for a lot of it, or just I'm trying to understand what he's saying there. Every issue starts with a cover on the right side of the page. I guess I'll have to flip through it when I get it and decide if I want to send it back to Amazon or not. See if it messes up with. Maybe I'll also order the trades.
That's really annoying.
That's really annoying. I was really excited for this too.
Yeah, that's why it's extra annoying, because you were super excited for it.
Well, I can get the trades if I have to. It's not a big deal, but it's whatever. It's a first world problem, but it's a pretty annoying first world problem. And Chris Kaufman, you got the Fearsome Dr. Fang.
Fun. That book was fun. Lots of fun.
I didn't read that. I didn't read Fearsome Dr. Fang or the 7 Deadly Sins from the first wave.
7 Deadly Sins was really good. Fearsome Dr. Fang, fantastic. That first wave, all 4 books were great.
And you only liked one of the books from the second wave? Or 2?
I think, Sentient was, Pound for Pound was okay, and then the other 2 were completely forgettable.
That's too bad. But
yeah.
Like I said earlier, that's a must-buy for everyone.
Sentient is, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, well, we've almost been on 2 hours, buddy.
You ready to get going?
Q&A. So let's promote our crime corner that's coming up this Friday, right?
Yeah, this Friday with Entitled Involve, aka Chat Omni Dog. We're gonna do Analog, which is at the bottom of this stack somewhere right next to me, so I'm not gonna grab them. We're doing Analog by Jerry Dugan. We're doing The Fix by Nick Spencer, and we're doing Bog Bodies by Declan Shalvey. And then in 2 weeks from now, for Baturdays, we're gonna have Maddie on from Fangirls Assemble and Near Mint Condition to do a spotlight on Wonder Woman. The runs that we love the most and the best places to start for those of you who are newcomers to Diana Prince. So I'm really excited about both of those shows.
Great. And thank you, Cycle, for sending it to me. I appreciate it. Okay, well, thank you to everybody. We had a great session today. It was very lively. Lots of good questions and chat in the chat, and lots of good discussion in there. Really appreciate it. If you could, please hit the like button. Please subscribe, and please leave a comment. We always respond to comments. We enjoy the comments. So we are up for it. And peace and love, peace and love. Let's all pray for Taylor's Wi-Fi.